Okay, so I wanted to talk about why we still need Larry Stylinson and why it actually serves to be kind of a hope. Now, I can see how it was very timely for those who were in the demographics that were being targeted back when One Direction was first formed, which is sort of the preteen, early teen, like the teen crowd, right? But I would say, even though the band has long gone on hiatus and it's been a decade, they're all solo now and they've all grown up, we still need Larry Stylinson. And I tell you that it's not just the Larry of today, it's the Larry of yesterday and the Larry of tomorrow. We still need the archetype of Larry. The reason why is because I don't know about you, but the there's there's the there is toxic masculinity and then there's positive masculinity. Now, there's not any one particular type of person that's toxic masculine, and there's not any one particular type of person that is a positive masculine. It's more, for lack of a better word, it's more energy than anything else. But this is why we need Larry. Okay, so this was triggered by there's that word, triggered. There was a article by the New York Post yesterday, and it was on their Facebook, and the headline was relationship experts will reveal why women are staying single. And I think that it's not just women, it's men too. I think everyone is sort of staying single. Not to say that they're not in a relationship, but they're not making it like official and getting married and all that. But even if somebody doesn't want to get married, there are people that are just not wanting to settle, or they've seen, or they themselves have experienced maybe some pretty harrowing experiences on the dating scene, that they just are like, no, I'm not gonna bother. But it's not that they're closed off, it's just that that's not a priority, and they'll just want to meet people, and if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's different than it has been in past decades or past generations. I don't think it's particularly women again. I think it's also men. For every woman that has a story being screwed over by a man, there is a man who has a story about being screwed over by a woman, and it's both sides have some pretty horrible tales. I've literally seen both sides just really be put through the ringer, and it doesn't help when you have shows like The Tinder Swindler, or shows like Who the Bleep Did I Marry, that was on for a while, and it makes you just say, shit, why do people aspire to marriage when, good lord, sometimes, as much as it sucks, it's sometimes better to not be with anyone. If the only options are toxic, it's better to just be by yourself, because you can be far worse off with a really horrible person than you are just feeling lonely, right? So nonetheless, I posted that, everyone seems to be staying single these days, and it was really just a casual comment based on a lot of my own observations. And then this is where the toxic masculine comes in. Some asshole by the name of Dimitrios Ramos said, and from a one sentence comment of everyone staying single, he has to add his 2 cents, and he said, I'm sorry, but not to be insensitive, but men are staying single these days, and by no choice of their own, women are starting to realize that. And I'm like, well, do you speak for all men and women? Like, just having to interject here, you look kind of like a fool. And a couple people joined in and said, stop mansplaining. And I said, you read too much into things, way too much, relax. And it just started this sort of trend of, I don't know, these men that seem to clearly have issues with women taking it out on just literally casual observation. And this Demetrios guy who has all these tattoos and has a beer gut, and I mean, I'm by no means a beauty queen, but like, honest to God, dude, you seem to think you're Adonis here. No, you're not Andrew Tate, and you wouldn't want to be. And he's like, asserts himself again, I'm speaking for men. My statement is based on logic. Unfortunately, feminism has destroyed relationships for both men and women. If my comment hurt your feelings, that's on you. My statement is not meant as an insult. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? And I said, one passing comment and you felt compelled to make it into an argument. It's not that deep. Relax. And so this goes to my point of why we need Larry. We need people that are sensitive. We need people that feel emotion. We need the person who displays a sort of agony and sentimentality of not being with their beloved. And when I look at Harry and he seems to kind of want to be by himself and he has his friends, but he really just is kind of by himself. Yet at the same time, he's not going around making songs of like love hurts and it sucks and all this stuff. He sings songs of like longing and yearning and adoration for what isn't here but used to be here. There's not that bitterness, which is missing in a lot of the comments that were happening on this post, which literally, I'm not the only one who's saying it, that a lot of people are saying single. That's just a statement of observation, and I'm not even saying I'm right. It's just that it seems to be trending that way. But I really didn't think much of it. And when I see these men having to jump in, it's just like, dude, honestly, please fucking calm down, get therapy. Because they see what was emerging was these men who wanted to like make it so much the women's fault and saying, yeah, we just don't want to be sick, we just don't want to be tied down. Because like this Jonathan Hernandez guy says, when I said what everyone is staying single these days, this Jonathan Hernandez says, which is a win for men. It didn't say they were celibate, just single. Men love that, LOL. And it's like, okay, what's your point? And I didn't get too mean. I said, well, yeah, keep telling yourself that. And then I added, you take one comment in passing and it shows how triggered you are. Then I blocked them. So thing is, if you look at someone like Louis, who has really had some heartache, not just romantically, but in other areas of life, yet he still sings faith in the future. He still is there for his sisters. He still does the soccer aid. He's not sitting around bitching. He's clearly a strong person. He's got resilience, and he's like got that tough and tender vibe going. So it's like he has better things to do. But with all the things life has thrown at Louis, you get the sense that he's not bitter and angry and like sitting around being Mr. Depression. He's still doing his tours. He managed to create a festival. He's living this full life, and it's a testament to his spirit. That's why we need Larry, because not all men sit around bitching, complaining, moping, and thinking that they're, the next Andrew Tate, which there's a whole community of men that are like this. And they're not quite incels, but either you have an unresolved mother issue, or you got really screwed over by, an ex, and you're doing this bravado dance, which looks really just irritating, and it actually keeps you repelling people. So good luck, keep going. So sometimes you need that person that is like really like a bastion of hope, that not all people are just emotionally stunted and deranged enough to want to take one casual New York Post article and insist that like it's some paradise for men when women want to stay single because they can have their cake and eat it too. And it's like, dude, it is really not that deep. It's just, honestly, people don't have time for bullshit. And nowadays, women don't need a man to get a bank account, sign a lease, buy a house. Like, a lot of the things that you used to not be able to do as a single woman are gone. It's in the United States, it's called the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So there you go. And on the other hand, you need someone like a Harry, who is clearly a sentimental minx, who has these crazy jealous episodes when you see those early days. He always had this look of like, that's my person, but doesn't act crazy and doesn't do anything stupid, and it's kind of sweet to watch. Plus, of course, those agony songs, those beautiful agony songs that really make you almost feel like you're the one who had the experience. Yes, you need people that have emotion, but don't allow it to make them go haywire and make a fool of themselves, or worse, become destructive. So all I can say is we still need Larry, and for those of us who were older, who were already adults by the time One Direction was formed, we actually, I think it's good that the older age group that maybe missed the band when they came around because they were maybe in college, they were some people said that I was already 30 when they were formed, and I was having my own kids, so I didn't have time to pay attention to teeny bop bands. I'm glad that they're coming around this time, because what we are missing is, I think because they are older now, like the Harry's 31, Louis 33, now that they are grown men who've been through stuff, and yet they still have that ability to tug at the heart with the wisdom and maturity that the years have given them. And it's just nice to see the continuity of this, clearly a devotion. And it could be very easy in the media bombarding us with images of some not so positive male figures, and the news is just as bad. But you got to be very careful with the media that you pick, because if you watch the news all day, you could really get depressed. It's just by nature needs to be negative. But seeing these two be the way they are, it's just refreshing. So even though we missed it the first time, we're now we've discovered two men. We haven't discovered two boys, because 2010 was when they were boys, but it's been 15 years. So those of us who were older adults, who are now discovering them as adults and are seeing their story in retrospect, it sort of restores this feeling of hope. And it is a good reminder that not all men are complete, utter assholes, which you could easily get that belief by watching media or Facebook, and especially now in the United States, where we've got a polarization of the people who think Andrew Tate is great, who hate the woke crowd, and then the woke crowd saying that the woke crowd wanting to burn Teslas and stuff. I mean, it's so toxic that you couldn't help it. Wherever you are on the political spectrum, probably you're seeing a lot of toxic stuff right now, and we just don't need that. We really don't need that right now. So between people that are able to still have a heart, to still be able to go to life despite what life has sent to them, such as Louis, we need that. And we need that because, if anything, we know it exists. And now, we may never ever meet Louis, get to know him, but that's not the point. The point is, it's easy to think that all men are this, all women are this, because the negative gets attention. It's one of those things. However, that's not the only thing that is available. And sometimes when we are in a feeling of scarcity, we can easily see that, oh, well, this is the best we got. We either have to settle or just be alone. Well, it doesn't have to be that polarized. You just have to kind of know what you're looking for. And if you're looking for quality, it may not be found on Tinder. It may not be found on these websites that market themselves in such a way that they would attract the hookup crowd. I personally don't think that you would ever meet a true soulmate connection online. There are people who do, and that's great. We always will hear in the marketing angle for these online dating thingies the success stories, but if you really play out the statistical calculations, the success rate, in my opinion, is low, considering how much they promise. So we do need Larry, because quite frankly, I don't see anything wrong with someone saying that they would rather be single if they can't find anybody who would look at them the way that Harry looks at Louis. And you know what? Good. Don't settle. Life is too short.